Well, kid, you made an entire town panic, you lost all your friends, and now you're going to juvenile hall for a week. Was it worth it?
Totally.
Number 10. Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride. Today, TV has no shortage of out and proud characters. That wasn't the case in September 1997 when this Season 1 episode aired.
Hello there, little pup. I'm Big Gay Al.
Will and Grace was still a year away, and the puppy episode of Ellen debuted only 5 months earlier.
I'm 35 years old. I'm so afraid to tell people. Susan, I'm gay.
Comedy Central executives weren't sure how the episode would be received, but it garnered nominations at the Emmys and GLAAD Awards. LGBTQ+ characters have come a long way since Big Gay Al. Stereotypical attributes aside, he was among the first TV characters to advocate for gay people and animals, teaching Stan a valuable lesson. We'd like to think that everyone has grown more enlightened in the past decades. With some still hesitant to even say gay, the episode's message of acceptance continues to resonate.
Thanks for everything, Big Gay Al.
No problem, kids.
Number 9. Jared has AIDS. In 2002, Jared Fogle was the beloved spokesperson for Subway, a role model for those determined to get healthy and the subject of a catchy ad jingle.
He's still looking good. Now those sandwiches.
While Subway sandwiches factored into Jared's weight loss, his menu options were limited, and exercise was even more integral.
Well, that's not really what you say in the commercial.
I know, you kind of have to read the fine print at the bottom of the screen. It says I only ate a half-size lean turkey sandwich with no mustard or mayo or anything like that, and then had proper diet and exercise aids.
The boys point this out to Jared, leading to a misunderstanding that changes the world's perception of him. Turns out that appearing in somewhat misleading commercials was far from Jared's worst offense. Fast forward 13 years, Subway cuts ties with Jared after the FBI uncovered his true nature. This episode inadvertently predicted Jared's downfall, although not even the creators could have foreseen how spot on their depiction would become. Subway wants consumers to forget about Jared, but South Park won't let us.
Do you have anything to say before you die?
Number 8. Chef Goes Nanners. Despite airing in July 2000, this episode just as easily could have been written today.
We cannot change the South Park flag, Mayor.
Mayor, as I've said before, I find that flag to be racist and insensitive.
Chef deems the South Park flag offensive, demanding that it be changed. Jimbo argues that it's part of the town's history, however. The plot was inspired by a debate regarding the Confederate flag's presence at the South Carolina State House. The state's General Assembly ultimately voted to remove the flag, but Governor Jim Hodges predicted that it wouldn't end the racial divide surrounding this symbol.
Well, I guess the flag is part of history, but I can see how it is racist.
He was right, as discussions over problematic flags, monuments, and mascots are still being had. While the conversation has only escalated, this episode reminds us that the controversy isn't anything new. Chef and Jimbo come to a compromise, but a real-world resolution remains out of grasp.
We've been way too divisive over this, Chef. Maybe we can come up with a compromise flag, something that everybody can be happy with.
Number 7. Where My Country Gone. Like many others, Matt Stone and Trey Parker predicted that Hillary Clinton would win the 2016 U.S. presidential election. In the back of their hands, though, they must have known that Donald Trump had a very probable road to the White House.
Where has my country gone? Where has my country gone?
The creators even mapped out how this could happen in an episode that aged better than they likely hoped. While they don't give Trump the honor of being on the show, a brash Canadian politician serves as an obvious stand-in. As another Canadian explains to Butters, nobody took this candidate seriously, writing off his campaign as a joke.
It was a joke, but we just let the joke go on for too long. He kept gaining momentum, and by the time we were all ready to say, okay, let's get serious now, who should really be president? He was already being spawned into office.
In time, the joke snowballed into a serious problem. South Park warned us over a year in advance, but we weren't paying attention.
How did a U.S. citizen get past my wall?
I came here to find out where my country gone.
Number 6. Banned in China.
Who's there?
Nobody, just a bear. I was wondering, since you're new, if you might have some honey?
People remember this episode for the untimely demise of Winnie the Pooh. Even more notable, it unintentionally set the stage for the COVID-19 pandemic, which unfolded in the ensuing months. It kicks off one of the season's ongoing themes regarding censorship in China. Ironically, the episode got South Park banned in China. The creators touched upon this in the subsequent episode, which was eerily titled Shots.
I'm never working for a company that's regulated by a communist government.
It's bizarre how much of this would come back into play with the show's pandemic special, where Randy learns that he accidentally created COVID during his trip to China. One might assume that this must have been planned in advance, but given the timeline, there's no way the creators could have known that banned in China would be a turning point.
Actually, gang, we need to rewrite the whole second act.
But that'll take forever.
Number 5. Casa Bonita. Unless you grew up in Colorado, chances are you thought that Casa Bonita was a fictional restaurant when this episode aired.
Casa Bonita, come on, you guys. Oh, awesome!
One Google search later, you realize that Cartman painted an all-too-accurate description of a very real establishment. Although this episode raised the restaurant's profile, the pandemic took its toll almost 17 years down the line. Filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in April 2021, it appeared the Colorado landmark would meet the same fate as its retired Tulsa location.
Oh, gotta get to Blackrock's cave! Excuse me, coming through Blackrock's cave!
Things came full circle, however, with Parker and Stone buying Casa Bonita for $3.1 million shortly after.
And I said, yes. And he goes, I know, but don't get to, we don't know yet. I'm like, yes. And I was just like, we're doing that, yes.
Casa Bonita might not exist anymore if it weren't for this episode, which makes us want to visit the newly renovated restaurant as much as Cartman does.
Well, kid, you made an entire town panic, you lost all your friends, and now you're going to juvenile hall for a week. Was it worth it?
Totally.
Number 4. The Passion of the Jew. You might jump to the conclusion that this episode premiered after Mel Gibson's infamous arrest in July 2006. It actually came out more than 2 years earlier, when The Passion of the Christ was packing theaters and dividing critics.
Dude, that movie sucked. How do they even call that a movie? That's bullcrap, dude. Let's go get our money back.
Although the film was always controversial, Gibson was still generally a respected filmmaker and star. As many praised Gibson as deep and spiritual, South Park argued that there was something loonier going on upstairs. Although Gibson has found some success post-Passion, he's never been able to shake the unhinged public image that brings us back to this episode.
Dude, this guy is freaking daffy.
How dare you call me crazy? This means war!
When Gibson clashed with the cops in Malibu, Stone said it was probably one of the better days of my life, having confirmed what he already knew.
When you're a clown, nobody takes you seriously.
Run, dude, run!
Kapla! Kapla!
Number 3. Douche and Turd. Every 4 years, opposing sides of the political spectrum go to war over the two candidates vying for the U.S. presidency. People hype their respective candidates as if they're deities who can do no wrong.
Clyde, are you aware of what turd sandwich can bring to our school?
With only a few exceptions throughout history, though, virtually every election boils down to, as South Park puts it in 2004, a douche and a turd.
Geez, I don't know what to tell you, fellas. They're both instant classics. But I guess I'll have to go with Giant Douche, simply because the fact that it is a giant renders it useless, adding a parody slant to the satire.
Almost 2 decades later, the candidates haven't significantly changed, and neither have their followers. We still understand where Stan is coming from, as it's easy not to care when these are your only options.
Did you just say that voting is ridiculous?
No, I think voting is great, but if I have to choose between a douche and a turd, I just don't see the point.
However, sometimes you're better off with a douche than with a turd, and vice versa. Now more than ever, it's important to follow this episode's example and vote.
I thought I was supposed to make my own decision. Well, yeah, but not if your decision is for turd sandwich. What the hell is wrong with you?
Number 2. Imaginationland. We live in an age of corporate umbrellas looking to ensnare as many intellectual properties as possible in their web. From the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the Lego Movie to Ready Player One, large-scale crossovers are no longer a novelty.
An 18-wheeler spins out of control, and it's all like, brush! In this huge tanker full of diamonds, craw, craw.
Those aren't ideas, those are special effects.
This trend didn't start with the Imaginationland trilogy per se, but South Park was ahead of the curve. Since parody is protected under fair use, no fictional character is safe, as South Park unites superheroes, fairy tale icons, and Snarf for an epic showdown.
What imaginary character are you?
The Lollipop King? From the Lollipop Forest? And I'm Snarf! Snarf, 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 Snarf!
This 3-parter essentially foreshadowed the explosion of crossover events and cinematic Easter egg hunts, which have become commonplace to the point that they're not very imaginative anymore. Maybe that should be the premise of Imaginationland Episode 4, assuming they ever make it.
And we've determined that the best course of action is to nuke our imagination.
Number 1. Goobacks. Allow us to take you back in time to the year 2004. Immigration was among the most politically charged topics, with numerous Americans arguing that their jobs were being taken.
They took our jobs! Yeah, they took our jobs! They did!
Actually, we don't need a time machine. We just need to put on the news. Or this episode. It's fitting that Goobacks involves time travel, as it could be viewed at virtually any point in history without losing relevance.
Oh dear, I'm sorry, boys, but I've already hired someone else to do it.
What? Who?
One of those immigrants from the future. He said he would do it for 25 cents.
25 cents? Well, that's not even worth it.
Making his debut here, the character Daryl Weathers not only became a timely meme, but a manifestation of what many of us think when considering red states.
Dear intolerant rednecks, we sympathize with you all losing your jobs. However, we feel your solution of shooting everyone who crosses the time border is inhumane.
While the episode is almost 20 years old, it reflects modern times, and it'll likely remain relevant going forward. Few episodes better encapsulate the past, present, and future.
Damn it, they took our deal! Yeah, they took our deal! They took our deal!
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.